Morning, guys. As you can see, it's actually raining here in Southern California, so we have a change of plans today. We were supposed to go to Laguna Beach this morning. I have a customer coming in a few hours to pick up those 10 chairs. We'll see if the afternoon lightens up. Yesterday it did the same thing, rained in the morning. By around lunchtime, it looked beautiful, like blue skies. It was really a nice day. So we'll see if that happens. Let me get inside. Let's get to work. Ivan's been here this morning, getting a lot of these rosewood pieces done, sanded, getting all that epoxy, sanded up that he put on yesterday. So we're going to continue on that. Follow me down to the other side of the shop. First thing I want to do this morning is get this dresser top finished, so it's drying, get it back to the customer. Everything on that touch-up from yesterday looks really good. Let me just find the right sanding sponge that I want, something not too coarse. So it looks really good. It just settled a little bit, so when we spray a lot of sealer up front, it kind of settles. You just give it a good sanding one more time. We're going to put it, wipe it down, put it in the spray booth, and we'll spray the last coat. This thing should be done today. Could get picked up by the customer probably on Monday. I got it all sanded nice and smooth. We're wiping it down one more time with that wax wash. That gets all that little bit of a haze off of it, and then it gets the, you can see just a little bit of dust off of it too. Just make sure we don't have any chemical reactions out here on the last coat by doing this last little step. All right, let's get it into the spray booth. We're going to get it in here. First step, always just do the tack cloth. Get it wiped down. It's a little bit more difficult too when the open grain is there, because you really have to check to make sure there's no little white particles inside of there as well. They like to get stuck. Looks good. So if you come over, we'll mix up some of that flat sheen. And this flat sheen for this piece was specially formulated to be a zero sheen. It's got no luster to it. It's kind of chalky and will kind of very much so mute that color. So it has more of a brown appearance right now. Once this finish goes on, it'll kind of milk it up. I call it milky. It'll start kind of giving it a little white haze, and it'll change the color of the piece dramatically, which is what the customer wants. It's really important too, mix it up real well. A lot of that sediment will sit here at the bottom, so you want to just make sure you check it. If you have another canister, another gallon, you could pour half of it out, mix it so you can get it very mixed up properly, then pour back in the rest of the product. So it'll be a lot easier, because if it's full, you're going to splash everywhere. It's going to make a mess. This one here has only got about maybe a quart left, so it doesn't take up a lot of space. Once again, make my little special ratio. You can find out what this ratio is if you order a copy of my refinishing guide. I give all the ratios for sealer, for paint, what materials we're technically using on it all. Mix it up real quick. We'll get it poured in the gun, and we'll get going. This is almost dried up now, but what I like to do, and I wanted to show you, is it's always important before it's fully dry. I like to take this tape off. As you build up here the sealer and the clear coat, when it's wet, if you take off the tape, when it's still a little bit wet, it will fold back over and dry without having any type of lip there, like a tape line. So I said I wanted to show you how I do that. Next, I'm going to take off just the plastic, just so it doesn't stick to the cabinet for any reason. We're going to let this dry probably another couple hours, and then I can wipe it all down, check the rest of the box, put the drawer back in, and then call the customer, tell her it's ready. Would you ever use this tool in your refinishing shop? Let me show you how I use it. I can't believe I get paid to ruin people's furniture. So let me explain what I'm doing. This customer came in, had it refinished by another refinisher. They delivered it, and the color is right where it needed to be. The sheen was off. This is what you saw the other day when Luis and I were talking. The sheen was not as dull as she wanted, but it also didn't have the age and the patina of her like restoration hardware style furniture. So what Luis ended up coming to me asking, what can I do? I have this little special tool that we've made up over the years of chain, little poking like nails, some keys. And we also made up this cool little tool. This was a thanks to Ivan. This is what they used to use at their shop, and I remember we had one at my old business too. I haven't done this kind of distressing in many years, so adding all these little nails to make this little torture weapon looking tool will actually give those wormhole effects. So what we're going to do is just kind of tap it, kind of random, turn it in different directions, just kind of work around the entire chair. We have a sample that we're going off of. The customer had sent us pictures and a video, so we know roughly what they want. So they said this is the first step in the process, is that we're going to kind of beat this up, add a little bit of wormhole effect to it, add the chain effect to it. That'll give it the dents. Then we'll throw it in for a coat of, we're going to actually scuff it with a sponge first, wipe it with a quick stain to darken these holes back up, give them more of an appearance of depth, and that'll make it look like an old wormhole. And then we'll throw it in for a coat of sealer and a coat of clear coat. That same flat sheen that we just used on that dresser top, we're going to use on these chairs, and then they'll be good to go. And I said this is a very unique situation, not one that we see here all the time. Like I mentioned in that reel that I posted earlier in the video, I can't believe I get paid to destroy people's furniture. They pay us normally to make it look perfect. Other people want us to do this kind of stuff to it. So I said it's whatever the customer wants. We'll do whatever they want. I said it's very hard to do this sometimes. I don't really like to destroy and do distressing finishes. But you can start seeing these little wormholes are starting to like give some character to the piece. All right, I think we're going to call this one the chickenpox chair. It is just about there, I think. We've gone around it. What I'm going to do now, you can see, it may not show up in the video, but it's really speckled. You can see a lot of the light colored wood that's underneath because of the what it's built out of. I believe this is either like a birch or a maple. So so what I'm going to do, just do a light sanding on it, so that way any of these areas are a little smoother. So we've now beat it up quite a bit. We also want to prep this finish to go back in for the spray booth. If you were just to go back into the spray booth right now, being that it's lacquer, it might melt in, but you want to just make sure you get good adhesion. This little quick sanding that we're doing will just ensure that. And so what I'm going to do after this is go get the next color stain. And we're going to do a quick wipe down of stain on this thing, so that way all these little, the little holes, the little dents will start taking on a little bit of color, and that's what's going to give it that restoration hardware style finish that this customer wanted. So we got that all cleaned up now. I got the stain all mixed and ready to go. What I'm going to do first, it's always important, test it on the inside edge of a leg or something like that, so that way you know how it's going to look. If you got the wrong color, if you've changed it, you have time, you have the opportunity to do something different. So I said I think it's doing exactly what I want it to now. So it's just darkening up the little holes and the little dents that we've made. Gives it that little bit of character. You see there, they just kind of disappear now and just start looking like they're part of the wood. But my goal is to wipe it down quick because I don't want it to change the color of the piece, because it's already got sealer on it, it's protected, but still, if you leave this stain on for a little too long, it will change the color. Okay, those chairs are drying. We'll get them in the booth for some sealer in a little bit, but what we're going to do now is do the rough sanding on this so that I can identify where any dents are, any scratches. I know the top was a little bit more beat up, the sides weren't too bad. So what I'm going to do first, there's a little chip right here. So I'm going to do first, get my sander, get it all prepped, get on it, and then we'll get in here and just do a light sanding to expose any of the damage. I saw one up here in this corner too, a piece of this little veneer was broken, so we'll do a small repair there as well. But let's dive in. So I got my sander. We're going to do, it's what we do on almost every piece here. We're going to do a light sanding, and it'll just expose anything that's wrong. So see, just like we're going to go 1 or 2 passes on the entire thing, and it's just going to show me the damage. I don't want to dig into this too heavily, because remember, like I said before, this has been refinished, so this veneer is really thin. I don't want to pass it. So what we're trying to do is just find the damage so we could see the see what we need to do on the next steps. Okay, so I hit the whole entire frame, top and the 2 sides and then the front, and as you can see here, it may be hard to tell on the camera, but there's a long scratch mark, there's another long scratch mark here, there's a dent right here. These are all going to get steamed out. On the opposing side, there's one little scratch mark in about this section. This side looks pretty good. It just has a few chips on this corner, the one that I found down here, which we're going to fill with epoxy, and a few little small dents that, actually I may steam that one out. I could feel it a little bit. So let me get the iron turned on and the water ready, and we'll get back on this one. The iron feels like it's hot. I can smell it. It's nice and warm. Don't even want to touch it though. Get a little bit of the dust off. Get my water. I said kind of wet some of these areas where these scratches are. And so luckily they don't really look like they're scratches, they're more like indentations, and those are a lot easier to get out. So I kind of put the water on first. Right here you can see the dark spot, which is the dent. Kind of put it on for a few seconds, quick pass, so it kind of helps dry it up. Then we can work our way over to this other section. The center one was not that bad. Like I said, 1 or 2 passes of the steam will lift that right out. We'll let it dry, and then we'll come back with the 150 grit again and get it all sanded down. So there's another little scratch mark that I just saw. Some of these you can't tell until it's actually wet. You know, that you won't see any of the dents. So just slowly just kind of work your way around. And let's see, I just found another one. Don't know if it's visible in the camera, but there's a nice little scratch mark right there. So I remember this when it came in, it looked like it was fairly new refinished, but they did not do a good job. And I just noticed my iron unplugged. Plug that back in. We'll come back on top again. I'm going to do like 2 more little areas and just work our way around. As I let that dry, I just got a phone call from the customer, Peter Blake, who owns that piece, and he was curious about the condition of the metal for the chair and the cabinet, and I believe that this is a polished stainless. Sometimes with these Antoine Phillipon cabinets, they'll be chrome or this polished stainless. So I'm going to just do a little quick cleaning on it. to see if it's going to be passable for the condition that, that this customer expects for these pieces. If not, we'll have to send this out over to Normandy and have them, get it all polished up professionally. But a lot of this time with polished stainless, it's just a surface like residue, like just tarnish, and let him be the judge. I'll take a few pictures here in a minute and see if it's something that's passable or if we need to go get it professionally done. Now that you have a bird's eye view, you can kind of see the shine starting to come out. It's definitely better, but it still does show a little bit of signs of aging. So I'm going to take a few pictures. I'll send it to the customer and get their opinion, see if they want to send it over to Normandy or if he wants us just to clean it up here. And so now you can see the way it's reflective here, and you see all the old dirt, the tarnishing, just the oxidization. Oh, I can't even speak today. Like you could tell the age. So we'll go this there since I can't speak. I'm going to let that cabinet dry for a little bit. We put the epoxy on the corners, on all the little separated areas that we saw in this veneer. I'm going to let that dry, and then we're going to hop back up on this one, which is I wanted to do a test piece on that Cofemo lounge chair, that Italian lounge chair. It looks like it is like a bleached mahogany. I've already done the sanding, the steaming, and now put epoxy. So now we're at the point of just doing that last little bit of sanding, getting it all perfect, so we can kind of get it down the line. I'll send the customer a picture of it, send her a picture of the sample to show her like this is the natural color, which is I think right on where she wants to be. But I want to make sure the piece is perfect before sending her any type of picture. To kind of go around the exterior, this outside edge. And I think this is like a 16 ply too. It's a really thick piece of the bent plywood. It almost looks like a little skateboard. So it's really a cool piece. Go around the outside with the grain. What we're trying to do is get out all those little swirl marks from the sander. Okay, so now I got the first sanding all done. Come back with the 220. And just same thing, just work it with the grain. Using this 220, you're going to start seeing the clarity of this grain popping out. It's now taken us, and all the swirls are removed. It's now just getting off those 150 grit marks, which are very fine, to sand off anyways. It's not hard. I'm going to go around the outside because this was also hit with the 150. That's it. It's just making sure the whole thing looks nice and pretty. But I'll send the customer a video here in a few minutes. They never did this from the factory, but I'm going to still scuff inside, make it look perfect. You're never going to see it, but the next person who opens this chair up is going to see like, oh, whoever refinished this took real good care of it. We always try to go above and beyond like that here at the shop. This really mainly is hitting these outside edges. On that curve, it's very hard to sand, so you just kind of take it slow. Same on this side. And then we'll hit it with the sanding sponge, blow it off, and then we'll get it hung up, get it down the line. So we've got it 95% of the way there. What I'm going to do now is just hit it again with the 220 with the grain, just like we did with those chairs earlier today, that chair part. We're going to do this all around the entire piece, front and back, top and bottom. I've already done the inside. We did that when we were kind of waiting for some of the epoxy to dry. So just kind of long, even passes, long strokes. Come on this side over here. And this is what's going to start getting that clarity of the wood. These kind of steps are what are going to keep you from having any type of blotchy finish, blotchy stain. Getting the sanding is the most important part of the process. If you don't do this properly, the finished product is not going to turn out great. You really need to focus in on your sanding. Okay, this Phillipon cabinet is done. It's ready to go in the booth. As you can tell, like we do everything, top, bottom, the back side, we filled all the chunks. There were screws here, staples all exposed, tapped them in, covered them with epoxy. So like I said, you can see inside and out, it's all done. And remember how we tape things up when we do stripping? We tape it up with paper. This is why. There was no reason to strip all inside of here. The inside panel, I think, is just a veneered maple, and it's all in great condition. There's no reason to waste the energy, the time, and the materials on stripping the inside. 1 in maybe 50 cabinets we do need the inside done, either due to color change or they're just absolutely destroyed, and we have to start from scratch. So I said that's one of the reasons why we tape up the inside. So I'm going to roll this down. It's ready to go on Monday. We could get it stained and get it in the spray booth for sealer. But what we're going to do next is kind of hop over here back on that Cofemo chair, which is the that Italian like Eames style chair. But what I'm going to do, since I only have about 30-40 minutes left of the day, I'm just going to go through and start doing the repairs. So like on this chair here, you can see there's some veneer damage. Over here where the little T-nuts were, I'm going to glue these and then fill them, so that way when we're done and the T-nuts go back in, it'll go into fresh wood. It'll go and grab all this like just years of use, because the customer, remember how it was rocking before when we fixed it. It just did a lot of damage to these holes. I want to correct that, make sure the glue gets into the plies as well, hardens it back up, and gets a lot of strength. So let's dive into it. I got it all kind of set up because we want gravity to assist us. We're going to just come here, just run that super glue in so it goes down in all the little cracks and crevices. And then we're going to go back with the Mohawk epoxy sticks and the filler and get that to work. And you can see like a bunch of this veneer has been broken off, and I said the teeth are pretty deep. So I just want to start from scratch, get it all smooth again, and then we can put it back together. So I'm going to check the back side as well. It really didn't have any blowouts. It had a staple here because there was one small piece of, like it was a little plastic washer, which actually reminds me I need to order that. Actually, and I'll do one more since we have you on camera. This edge that got damaged because they were rocking on it for many years, not knowing that it was loose. It has a little bit of damage, so I'm going to run that glue down these little cracks. Just let it soak in. You can see right there, you can see there's a little bit of play in that one. So what I'm going to probably do is pop over and go get a clamp, so that way this dries. And I should have put my goggles on because that could have shot at me in the face. But that's not, it's all done now, I'm fine. But I'm going to put the clamp on it. And this one here, I'm going to wipe it down, wipe off any of that excess. And then I'll just spray a little bit of activator. And I'll let this dry for probably an hour or so, probably till we come back tomorrow. Once again, do it on this side as well. This one doesn't look like it's as broken, or as loose, I should say. It is still broken, but it's not loose. So I'll just run the glue down it so it goes through those plies, hardens back up again. We'll let it dry, and then we'll put the the epoxy filler here to continue that piece that's missing. so I'm in here in the booth. I just sprayed the last coat of sealer on these chairs that we distressed this morning. We'll let them dry over the weekend. Come back, scuff them again with the sponge, and then get the final top coat on probably on Monday. These can go back to the upholstery shop on Tuesday. Okay, we got those chairs sealed up. They're gonna dry. We'll come back on Monday, get those knocked out. What we're gonna do next is go through, we got a few more pieces left to sand, maybe tomorrow or Monday. We'll get these small drawers and shelves prepped. We're gonna come back over here, come up, do the repairs on all of these chairs and doors. This will all get done maybe over the weekend. If not Monday, we'll knock that out. And then, so I think Ivan's just buttoning up these pieces here, that Phillipon rosewood desk. It's almost done. And the base to that large 8-foot credenza that's all rosewood. So I said next week we're gonna have a lot of cool pieces going into the spray booth. Stay tuned for that. And then I said make sure to like and subscribe down below, and we'll see you next week.